Hey, what's up guys? It's JS Cards here coming at you with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and we are continuing on our hero-themed week here. The beginning of the week we covered just like the standard competitive hero deck, and now we're going to take a look at my Neos deck. As you can see here, we just go into a bunch of different Neos fusion cards. There's so many different ones and the Neospacians and everything. It's a fun deck. I like it. You know, it's not quite as competitive, but you could actually still do pretty well with it. There's some fun gimmicky cards in here. And like I said in the last video, I just love heroes and elemental heroes. It's super nostalgic. I grew up watching GX, so having this deck actually be able to do something now with, you know, some recent cards that have come out like in the last year or two, it's really fun and it's really awesome. I also broke out the Elemental Hero playmat today for a nice background as we go over this deck. And let's just jump into it. So starting off with our monsters, of course you're going to want to play 2 Neos. I suppose you could max out on 3 of him, but it's really not necessary. I think 2 is the correct number. There's some recyclability with this deck, so you can get back your cards that you used to fuse from your graveyard. You can get them back into your hand or into your deck, so there's really no problem with running 2. After that, I play 3 copies of Neospace Connector. This card's broken in Infernobles, as you guys probably already know, but it's also broken in this deck, especially when you have all your other Neospacians to go with it. Speaking of Neospacians, I'm playing 2 copies of Grand Mole. I remember back in the day, like what, 2008 or 2010, when this card was actually really scary, and it still kind of is now. Also played 2 copies of Dark Panther, 2 copies of Aqua Dolphin, and then we have 1 Air Hummingbird and 1 Scarab. You can change these ratios up to however you want and what you like to play. If I had Air Neos in the extra deck, if that card would ever get a reprint, I'd probably bump up Hummingbird as well. Scarab is nice just to have as a one of. I'm not playing Glowmoss. I think that one's like the worst one, so I'm sticking with these for now. And then for our Elemental Hero support cards, I'm playing 1 Honest Neos, 1 Stratos, and 1 Shadow Mist. These are basically just to get Elemental Hero names to go into some of your fusion monsters. Stratos, of course, is a great searcher. Honest Neos is really nice to have 2 because it's just like an honest for your Elemental Heroes, and Shadow Mist just for some more searching as well. Then I play 3 copies of Keeper of Dragon Magic. Really cool card here to be able to search out your polymerization or any card with the word fusion in it. I also play the 1 copy of Rainbow Dragon, which I'm sure you guys know what that is for. And then for hand traps, I'm playing 3 copies of Effect Veiler. These could be any 3 hand traps. You could include Ash Blossom over these. Some people might play even Impermanence. You don't have to play any hand traps either. I've seen some Elemental Hero builds where they're just really focused on maxing out like all of their hero cards and just trying to get into their fusions as fast as possible. Since this is more of a fun, budget, casual deck, I did decide to go with Effect Veilers just because Ash Blossoms are still very expensive considering all the reprints that they've gotten, and Effect Veiler is like a cheap, quite not as good version as Impermanence, but it's a nice alternative. And if you guys are just kind of on a budget and you just want to make a fun hero Neos deck just because, then throw in some Effect Veilers. Moving on to the spell cards, I play 3 copies of Neos Fusion, probably like the most important card for the deck. I also was really excited that it got that secret rare rarity bump in the Mega Tins this past year, so I definitely picked up 3 copies. This card lets you fuse into any of your cards that use Elemental Hero Neos as material from your hand, deck, or field, ignoring its summoning conditions. Also, a fusion monster that lists Elemental Hero Neos as material if it were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, or being shuffled back into the deck from its own effect, you can tribute or you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So yeah, this is an awesome spell card for the deck. I also play 3 copies of Miracle Contact. So you can fusion summon an Elemental Hero fusion monster by using the materials that are in your hand, field, or graveyard, and they get shuffled back into the deck. So that is a great way to fuse and a great way to get back your materials. And after that, I play 3 copies of Convert Contact. So if you control no monsters, you can send 2 Neospacian monsters, one from your hand and one from your deck, to the graveyard and then draw 2 cards. You don't really mind having cards in your graveyard because you can use those as materials even if you're going to fuse, or you can get them back into the deck later on. And being able to draw 2 cards is great. Sometimes you need to fix your hands or get some draw power, so this helps out. Then I play 1 Miracle Fusion and Polymerization, just 2 other ways to fuse. I also play the Reinforcement of the Army to search out one of our level 4 lower warriors, as well as Monster Reborn and Called by the Grave. For the trap cards, I just play 3 copies of Next. So you can special summon any number of monsters with different names from your hand or graveyard in defense position that are all Neospacian monsters or Elemental Hero Neos. Their effects are negated, and as long as you control any of them, you can't special summon cards from the extra deck except fusion monsters, but every card in our extra deck is a fusion monster, so that's not a problem. This is a really cool way to just kind of spam the field with your Neospacians and then start fusing. So that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. Alright, so starting off with the monsters, I play 2 copies of Brave Neos. This is basically an extender for the deck. So it's made with Elemental Hero Neos and 1 level 4 or lower effect monster. It gains 100 attack for each Neospacian and hero monster in your graveyard. But the cool thing is when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that lists Elemental Hero Neos in the text. So that lets you get access to your Neos Fusion or your Miracle Contact, and that's basically why I think this is like an extender for the deck. It's a pretty cool card. I know some people play 1. I actually like going into 2, but that's just me. Then for our other Neos cards, we have the 1 Nebula Neos, which is like the boss monster for the deck. Nebula Neos, of course, is made with Granmole and Dark Panther, which is why I decided to play 2 of those compared to some of the other Neospacians. Another boss monster is Cosmo Neos. I also play Magma Neos. Here we have our Rainbow Neos, which is why we have to have the 1 Rainbow Dragon. But now we move into some of the old school Neos cards, which are really cool in their own way. We have Storm Neos, Dark Neos, Grand Neos, Aqua Neos, and Flare Neos. You can make all of these using all of your different Neospacians, and yeah, this just brings me back down memory lane from the GX days. I just think they're really cool. They all have their own different abilities and stuff. You can also play ones that I don't have in here. But our last Neos card for the extra deck is Elemental Hero Neos Knight. I got this ultimate rare way back in the day, first edition. It's one of my favorite cards. It's even like a little miscut if you look at the top and the bottom, the edge and stuff. I don't know. I think it's a really cool card. I was very happy to break this out of the binder and throw this into the deck. And then for the last 3 cards, they're just really good Elemental Hero fusions in general. That being Elemental Hero The Shining, Elemental Hero Gaia, and the 1 Absolute Zero. So there you guys have it. That is my updated Neos deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, this deck is just a lot of fun. It's actually pretty powerful, and being able to play all those different Neos fusion monsters is really cool. Let me know what you think of this deck down below, and let me know what your favorite Neos or hero card in general is down in the comments. I'd love to read them. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more Yu-Gi-Oh! News, deck profiles, and openings in the future, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out and have a good one.